Okay, here we go. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Lisa McCallum Talks. Is this your year where you're going to decide to do that thing that you have always wanted to do? You know what I'm talking about. It's in here, it's in your heart, it's eating away at your stomach. It's something that you have had on your mind for quite some time. It's a dream, it's a vision, it's a goal. You're deciding to do it and you're finally going to take action. Well, I hope that this is your year and this is what you're going to do. I'm Lisa McCallum. I'm an author, I'm a speaker and results coach to get you these results. And I am in the top 150 finalists in Canada as a woman of inspiration through the Universal Women's Network. And I want to thank you for being here today, because this is where you are going to learn how to make yourself your own top priority. Yes, that's you. And I am talking to the most incredible people on here who know what it takes to do this. They've made themselves their own priority. They know what it takes. They know the dedication that goes into it. They've had many struggles. They're here to share that as well. And their plan of action as to how they have got what they have always wanted, their vision, their dreams, and their goals. So welcome today. And this is why I am here to show you how with all of these different people that we have here. And today I have the most energetic person that I can think of. He is such a high achiever. I have such amazing respect. Fong Chua, he's an entrepreneur. He's a real estate investor, a speaker, and he has spoken on so many platforms all over the world. He has met so many different celebrities. What else can I say about you? Oh my gosh, the number one thing why we're here today is he is a best-selling author. He's got the plan. He knows what it takes to help you write your own book, make it a bestseller, in what, Fong? In less than 4 months. I believe that's what you can do for people.
Yep, that's no.
Welcome today, Fong. It's so fantastic to have you here.
Well, thank you very much for having me here, and it's a pleasure, and thank you very much for that intro. It was awesome.
You're welcome. I have to be as energetic as you. You bring that out in so many people. It's a beautiful quality.
Yeah, no, it's always fun because you find that when you have high energy, then you get high energy back from the other people and also from your audience. So when that's happening, it's a lot of fun.
It sure is. So everybody have fun with us and listen into these questions. Like I said, this is how you do it. And if it's a book that's on the forefront for you, then this is exactly where you need to be. So my first question though with Fong is, Fong, you have your own show and it's called the Peak Potential Success Show. And I'd like you to explain a little bit more about what this show is and what peak potential is for you. What does that mean for you?
Well, peak potential success is something that I believe everybody could achieve. Everybody has this potential that's deep inside of them, but for some reason, they may or may not be able to find it, and they may or may not know that they have it. But the thing is that potential is always, always growing. Once you hit another plateau, you gain more knowledge, you gain more your connections, you gain more wisdom, and then you go, wait a minute, I could do this, and that the potential keeps on growing. So that peak potential is always something that you can always achieve more of. And the reason why I have this show is because you never know what that one thing is that gets other people to go, you know what, I can do that. You know what, that sounds good. So the whole concept of the show is to interview different people of different successes, of different genres, industries, and backgrounds, and have them share their stories. Because all of a sudden, an athlete might say something that triggers something in you that goes, you know what, I could apply that to me. And then maybe something else from a multimillionaire says something then you go, wait, I could probably do that too and apply it to me, kind of thing, right? So I find that that's something it was kind of interesting to learn from a whole bunch of different people and also from different backgrounds as well. So it's been a lot of fun talking to people, and I've gotten a lot of people coming back to me and go, wow, I never realized that I could do this or I could do that. And listening to these different people speak has kind of triggered something inside them to unlock their peak potentials as well.
Yeah, it does. And bringing these people to the forefront, like you said, getting them out there, making them visible, and hopefully someone has something that they make a connection to that gets them going. But why do you think people don't go after what they want to do? And what do you think would be something in particular that you would share with my audience here that would get them to do that?
The biggest thing I feel is that fear of not fitting into your comfort group. We all grew up in surroundings of people and partners and family and friends. And that's what we're comfortable with. That's who we're used to. That's how we grew up. We have the same beliefs. We have the same thoughts. We have the same goals and dreams. But all of a sudden, you meet another person who says something. And then you start learning more about that something else. Like, for instance, for myself, it was real estate. And also, like, I really want to start doing real estate. But then I have nobody within my circle who would support that idea or who have any idea of what it takes to be successful in real estate. So then when you start talking about that kind of stuff within your circle, then everybody goes, well, that's too hard. You can't do it. That's for other people. So then you start getting this whole feedback that you go, maybe this isn't for me. And then you're getting too afraid to actually pursue it. So the biggest reason why people don't go out and pursue certain things is because that fear of not fitting into the group they're used to. And then that's why having that show allows them to go, oh, wow, this person did it, this person did it, that person did it. And then when they start connecting with people who actually engage on my social media and stuff like that, they'll realize, wow, all these people are doing it too. Maybe we could connect to all that kind of stuff. And then from there, their mindsets will start growing. They'll start surrounding themselves with different people, building different relationships. And then you start realizing you don't have to have only one group of people that you stick around with. You don't. Exactly. You could have a family group, a friends group, your business group, who could also be your friends. And then you have your mastermind group, you have your entrepreneurial group, and all of a sudden you're more multifaceted in so many different things.
Yeah, because there really isn't a peak, is there? There's no limits.
Right.
You can keep, like you said, if you do something in one area, then you can do that in another area and bring it to another and another and keep going and keep growing.
You hit one peak after another peak after another peak. So
yeah, there's so many peaks. It's unlimited.
Exactly.
It's unlimited. Now I have to ask you, are you living your own peak potential? And what has been maybe some roadblocks in your life that have prevented you, or that you've had to get over in order to keep living your peak potential?
Well, for myself, like I said, your peak potential is never reached, but there's always a peak that I'm aiming towards. So every step of the way, from being an engineer and working towards an engineer, that's my first peak. Everybody told me that business was not what I was going to be doing. Nobody expected me to be teaching people stuff or coaching and all kinds of stuff. And they go, you're an engineer, so go get that done. Okay. So that was my first peak. But then you open up all this real estate and business world to me. And then all of a sudden my next peak was, I want that first property under my belt. Then the next peak was to get at least 10 properties under my belt. And then from there, all of a sudden, wait a minute, I would like to start speaking on stages. And then the next goal was, or next peak was, to speak on the stage. And then another stage with more people, and then with a panel and whatnot. And then after that was, oh, let's get to the peak of writing our first book. Let's get to the peak of doing our first podcast. So every step of the way, I've reached those peaks. It's just that now I want to expand more. I want to connect more, have more relationships throughout the world, and help more people. So I always have different peaks and different levels that I want to hit. Now, when you talk about roadblocks, everybody goes through roadblocks. Everybody, when it comes to your first speech, you go, wait a minute. I don't know if I can stand up in front of all those people and start speaking. So there's always a learning curve. There's always challenges that we face. And one of the best ways of overcoming those challenges is having that support group around you, having that coach that you can bounce ideas off of, having that coach that you go, hey, what if I did this? Is this going to work? What do I do if I have an eviction to take care of? They were able to walk me through the entire process, help me out with speech content and all kind of stuff, and also
Yeah.
book writing. In fact, one of my biggest challenges when I first wrote my first book was that whole mental negativity, that
Yeah.
limited mindset of who am I to write that? That person over there is not going to read my book, and that person over there is more successful than me. Who am I to write this book? And
Yeah.
it was my coach that came up to me and said like one line, and I go, wow, that changes my life. And that line was, over the last 100 years, nothing new has been written, but your voice hasn't been heard. Now, I
Mm,
may or may not be able to reach your fan base, your clientele, your followers. And therefore, every single moment that you're not writing that book is every single moment that you're depriving your fan base, your followers from your message and your voice. I'm like,
yeah.
oh, let's get writing.
Yeah.
And then he
Yeah.
also pointed out that the person who's not going to read my book isn't going to be my clientele. I'm like, that makes sense too. So after that, I exploded with one book. And within that first year, I finished 3 books. And then by now I have 5 out, and I have 2 more coming out in the next 2 months.
Yes. And I want to ask some further questions because you're leading right into this. Is okay. Well, you said what made you want to write these books, but specifically, what do you think it was that yeah made you want to write your first book? What what was that in you? Describe what that was.
Well, for me, it wasn't something that's locked inside of me, going, oh, I want to get this book out. It was one of those things that kind of happened, a challenge that one of my coaches gave me.
Okay.
And the reason being was I was having all these meetings with individuals and potential clients, and they're asking me all these questions about what I did, how do I build my financial foundation, how do I do real
Yeah.
estate, and that conversation lasts a good 3 or 4 hours sometimes. And I'm like, I need to simplify this a little bit more. And that's when my coach then says, well, write your first book. Have your
Yeah.
first book as an introductory to all the different things that you do.
Mhm.
So then that's how we wrote our first book. Everything that we started off with, whether it's real estate, infinite banking, insurance, and network marketing, exempt markets, all that kind of stuff is in our very first book. So then now we can go, hey, read this first. Let me know what you want to focus on. And then in our meeting, we'll go right deep into that one topic. So it kind of gave us a way to kind of weed out our clientele so that we know which ones are serious, and then also it gave us something for a takeaway, something to gift during an event, and something to leave that
Mhm.
credibility there so that people remember us first.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I can relate to so much of that for sure. And yeah, having that relatability and that credibility for you. Now, you said you have written five books,
Yeah.
and I know one of your latest books, which I'd love for you to show and show the audience here and explain this book as well. And most importantly, this is what this show is all about. And I'm trying my darndest here to help people ignite this in themselves to make the decision to do what they want to do. And what I find is when you explain the feeling of when you held your first book in your hand, you had that hard copy, you were holding it, you flipped through the pages. Explain what that felt like.
Well, yeah. So first of all, our first book was this one here, right here. The color is gone because it's green. So I have a green screen on. But anyways, it's called Make More Work Less, and it's a introduction to a whole bunch of different financial stuff that we do ourselves. And when we finished that book, it was one of those feelings where, wow, I never dreamed of doing this. People were actually shocked that we were writing a book, and once we got it out there, it just felt like something we've never dreamed of achieving. Uh, for me, opening up that box and seeing our proof copy,
Yeah.
and then also seeing our done copy at the very end, was one of those feelings where it almost felt like I just finished performing on stage and getting a standing ovation. And that
Oh,
feeling was like, wow, I could just hear the applause in my head and
yeah.
stuff. It was just amazing. So that's something that I will always cherish. And when I work with my clients, I tell them, okay, during these next 3 to 4 months, enjoy the process and enjoy the experience, because once you see that book in your hand, especially your proof copy, you go, wow, I'm that much closer. Then once you open up that box with all those other copies in your hands, you go, wow. In fact, my one of my latest clients, he didn't even get his box in yet. He got his proof copy in. And then
Yeah.
I asked him, how did it feel? He says, I closed my eyes and I cried.
Oh.
I'm like, exactly, because that's something you will never ever feel again. And I guess for me, it's one of those feelings where it's the birth of my daughter,
Yeah.
my marriage, and then maybe the book coming out kind of thing. And then something also very close is also speaking on stage in front of a lot of people. So,
Yeah.
like I said, I highly recommend everybody to have a book, just because you can apply it to anything, whether
Yeah.
you're an employee or you're an entrepreneur.
Hmm.
Something to set you up differently than everybody else that you're competing against. So
Yeah.
after writing 5 books that we've gotten out, all in different genres, then
Yeah.
we had the birth of our daughter, and we sat there and we started reading these kids' books to our daughter, and like, man, how hard would it be to write a kid's book? So then my wife and I just sat down and was like, let's start writing one. So
Yeah.
2 hours later, we had the story out written out, and we go,
Oh, wow.
now what? Because it's a kid's book, so we have to find an artist, we have to find somebody to draw and stuff. So then our next thing was thinking, you know what would be really cool is to have it right in time for our daughter's first birthday. And we
Hmm.
got it going and all that kind of stuff. And sure enough, our final book here,
Yes.
all published, all done, arrived on our doorstep at 8 o'clock the night before our daughter's birthday.
The
So
night, the timing in that.
so then my next thing now is to go, I'm waiting for the day that my daughter is able to take this book and go to school and do a show and tell about the book that has her in it.
Oh.
And then potentially sign it for all the classmates, and maybe if she can't sign yet, then I'll give her a little stamp so she could put her handprint on it.
Yeah. Oh, how adorable is that?
So that's my next thing. I'm waiting for that thing.
Yeah, that's so exciting, Fong. That's really exciting. Oh, it's incredible. I have so many more questions here. I just love this. This is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Now, all right. So, who has been your favorite celebrity that you have met, and how have they impacted you?
Of all the ones that I've met,
Yeah.
I'd say the biggest impact on my life would probably be Schwarzenegger, because I just thought that his story was very incredible. After meeting him, I was able. I then got his biography, which is like a good 600-page book, and
Yeah.
got to know more about his history, all the stuff that he went through, his life lessons, and all that kind of stuff. So I thought that was a big impact on me, and also because he was the first big celebrity I met
Mhm.
that I never dreamed of meeting.
Yeah.
Other person that would have a big impact on me would be Will Friedle. And there's not a lot of people who know who Will Friedle is.
Yeah.
But did you watch Boy Meets World? Way back in the day. Boy Meets
What?
World. There's a
No, no.
Anyway, he was known as the big brother in that sitcom. But
Oh,
later on in his life, he became the voice of Batman Beyond. And I'm a big fan of Batman. And I'm a big
yes.
fan of the show. And he was actually at one of these Comic Cons, and he was sitting there, and there wasn't anybody in the line to talk to him or anything. So I leaned over to Jessica and I go, do you know who he is? She goes,
Yeah,
who? I'm like, that's the voice of Batman Beyond. She goes, cool, let's go talk to him.
yeah.
She spent a good 10 minutes talking about anything with him, about his experience and how he found his role and got all that kind of stuff. And then Jessica leaned in and go, do you know what? I've always dreamed of Batman saying something very cool to me. And he goes, you mean like this? Give me your phone. So he took her phone and pressed record and did the same voice he did as Batman and says,
Ooh.
Jessica, this is Batman. I'm very proud of you. Go and do everything that you want to do. That is now her ringtone on her phone. So every single morning we wake up to Batman. So I thought that was pretty cool and fun. So those are the two that comes to mind that really impacted our lives.
Yeah, I know. Oh my gosh, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, really, that's just so incredible. Just, I just can't imagine. Yeah, what an extraordinary human being for sure. And that voice of Batman. Wow, that's so cool. And it really resonated with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you personally. Now, all right. So, oh my gosh, I just, this is amazing, like I said already, and I'm just enjoying this so much. And I hope the audience here is getting a lot out of this, because the content in here and the value that you're giving about writing your own personal book and having that feeling of the applause on stage, that is such a beautiful feeling. And you can sit there and hold that to yourself forever. It's a legacy. No doubt about that. It's such an incredible feeling. Now, explain the importance of having the right people to hang around with who are like-minded like yourself, who encourage you and support you to go after the dreams and the visions that you have.
Well, as something I mentioned before was when we first got into real estate, when we first learned that there's this new world about business and investing and doing rental properties, it was very difficult for us to actually move forward on those steps because we were surrounded by family and friends who have
Mhm.
no experience in that, who were not very in tune with investing and stocks and all that kind of stuff. So it was very difficult to actually talk to family and friends because all the time they would go, well, that's very risky. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't try doing that. You're wasting your time. You're wasting your money. So it kind of stops us from pursuing it because we go, wait a minute, is this really what we want to do?
Yeah.
And all those first phone calls to even building our power team was very nerve wracking, was very hard because we've never called a lawyer just out of the blue before. But we were
Mhm.
calling a lawyer just to see, hey, would you like to work together? How should we meet and just see if we can build that relationship and all. Just that alone, we were scared of making that phone call.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have the support around us. So after a while, you start realizing, well, for me, I actually stopped talking about real estate. I stopped talking about investments, business to family, friends for a good 2 years because I started getting comments back from them saying, you're no longer the same person we knew. And
Mm.
I'm not sure if we like this anymore. Like it
Yeah.
starts getting weird in front of family and friends. So then I go, okay, fine. I'll dial that down and I won't talk about that stuff until people actually ask me. Okay. But then I opened up to another group of people, a group of people who I met throughout this journey of buying real estate, throughout this journey of building that power team, throughout that journey about learning more about investments and businesses and branding and marketing. And then everybody there wants to talk about, hey, what are you doing? What kind of property are you looking at? What kind of logo should we do? How do you do your branding? And that world is just so much more fun. And
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
connecting with those people, now they're encouraging you. Now they're pushing you forward. Now they're supporting you. And that coach constantly challenges you to move forward and achieve more and more successes. Like I wouldn't be where I am today if my coach didn't go, hey, write your first book, or hey, go on stage and speak, or hey, go and start a podcast, right? It's because of those people around me that started going, you know, you can do this. And every step of the way, you post stuff on Facebook, you post stuff on LinkedIn, and you get all this support from all these people that sometimes aren't your family and friends. It's
Yeah.
all people that you met within your business circle, right? So it does make a big difference having that support around you, and to know that you're not the only one there. You're not the only one that's trying to pursue all these dreams. You're not the only one that's facing challenges. And once you are, you know you have the people who come up and go, hey, try this. Or, hey, you can do it. Don't worry about it. So
Yeah.
that's very important.
Yeah. Now, okay, to my audience, final question here. What could you say to them that would ignite them to finally decide to take some action and go after whatever it is they want to do, no matter what it is, regardless if it's writing a book or not, just whatever that is that they've got inside of them?
I would say that whatever it is that you want to do, you have every single right and every single ability to achieve what you want. And the thing is, there's always somebody out there who has achieved what you want to achieve. So reach out and ask those questions. Reach out and find that group. Reach out and find that space that you can put yourself in so that you can start absorbing that energy and start building those relationships. And one step at a time, you'll eventually get to where you want to be.
That is so incredible. That is amazing advice and very true, Fong. Thank you so much. Now, if you want to get a hold of Fong here, what would be the best way, Fong, for people to get a hold of you?
Best way is to message me on either Facebook or LinkedIn. You can find you can find me on both those with Fong Chua, or email me at fong.chua@yourarea.ca.
Okay. Well, I would expect that you would have this email flooding today. Oh, I just loved every moment of this with you. And again, having that vision for yourself, if it's that you want to feel like you are on a big stage and having all those applause, then you've got to reach out and check out my website at lisamccallumtalks.com. I've got some free material for you there, and we can set up a call to finally take that action for yourself and make you your top priority and make this dream and vision happen for yourself once and for all. So have an incredible day, everybody, and thanks so much for joining in.